Ready for dictation. 5 seconds.
Start. Therefore, the state of Goa filed a petition before the district judge South Goa along with the application under section 14 read with section 5 of the Limitation Act 1963 for condoning the delay. As the civil judge, senior division has held that he had no jurisdiction. Therefore, the time which is spent in these proceedings before the civil judge, senior division may be condoned and the petitions filed by the state of Goa for setting aside the award under section 34B considered. This application of state of Goa for condonation of delay under section 14/5 of Limitation Act 1963 was rejected by second additional district judge South Goa on the ground that there is no provision for extension of time under the Act of 1996 and section 14 of Limitation Act 1963 is not applicable by the order dated 7th March 2002. Likewise, the application under section 34 was also rejected. Aggrieved against the order, an appeal was preferred by the state of Goa before the High Court of Bombay Parji bench at Goa under section 37 within bracket 1B of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. This appeal came to be dismissed by the learned single judge by order dated 26/9/2002. In view of his detailed reasons given in of the judgment delivered on 26/9/2002, it was held that section 14 of the Limitation Act is not maintainable in view of subsection 3 of section 34 of the Act 1996. Hence, the present appeal. In this background, a common question of law arises in all these appeals whether section 14 of the Limitation Act 1963 is applicable to the Arbitration Act 1996 or not. The Learned Counsel for the appellant has submitted that since the arbitration proceedings are of the civil judge in view of section 43 of 1996 Act, Limitation Act 1996 is applicable to the Act of 1996. Learned Counsel for the appellant submitted that in the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 there is no provision which prohibit the applicability of the Limitation Act 1996. Therefore, wherever it is not prohibited by Act 1996, the provisions of Limitation Act 1963 may be made applicable mutus mutandi. As against this, Learned Counsel for respondent has submitted that this the operation of Limitation Act is ousted by virtue of subsection 2 of section 29. In this connection, our attention was invited to section 34 of the Act, which lays down the ground on which award can be set aside and period within which it can be set aside. Therefore, it is a complete code in itself and the operation of Section 14 and Section 5 of Limitation Act stands excluded. However, in order to appreciate the submission of learned counsel, it would be necessary to produce the Section 34 of the Act.